Now, Don Hutson's career in speaking, management, and sales have brought him many different honors. He has successfully worked his way through the University of Memphis, graduating with a degree in sales. He established his own training firm and shortly thereafter was in demand as a professional speaker.
Telling you exactly what you need to know.
He's an excellent speaker.
He's animated.
He is chairman and CEO of U.S. Learning and makes some 85 speaking appearances each year. Perhaps you've seen him on national television, where he has appeared many times on PBS.
Definitely worth listening to. He knows what he's talking about.
Our speaker is the author of The Sale and The Contented Achiever. And he is a member of the prestigious Speakers Roundtable. Don was elected by his peers to the presidency of the National Speakers Association, and he has received its Cavett Award as Member of the Year. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Don Hutson. Welcome, Don.
Thank you, Michael.
Good to see you.
Thank you. How many of you have ever heard a speaker by the name of Charlie Tremendous Jones, as he modestly refers to himself? And he's tremendous, isn't he? One of my mentors, an incredible speaker, an incredible human being. But I was on a program with him one time, and he said to that audience early on, he said, in a seminar you must remember that many times the greatest idea you get is not even something the speaker says. Many times the greatest idea you get is something which you, through your years of experience, think of as a result of something the speaker says. You see, when you go to a seminar, you're experiencing a catalytic agent. And everything that speaker says filters through your value system, and many times there are concepts there that take a new meaning for you, and maybe a different meaning for you than it is for you, and that's okay. But open your mind and filter it through your process and your experience base, and let's go to work and let's talk about this dynamic we refer to as leadership in business as we know it today. Make reference there to your handout, if you will. I love that first quote from Jeffrey Pfeffer. He says that companies that manage and lead people right will outperform companies that don't by 30 to 40%. Hey, maybe leadership does indeed make the difference. I think that the best definition of leadership is the art of using persuasive skills and or the power of position to influence the attitudes and behaviors of others toward exceptional performance. You see, human behavior is based on our human belief system, isn't it? As we alter those belief systems, we can have an impact on the behavior of other people, those who report to us. All right, so we want to impact on the people that report to us so that we can take them toward exceptional performance. Look at number 3, the principal distinction between leadership and management. A, leadership has to do with the impact we have on our people. Leadership is about the people side of the business. And B, management has to do with our ability to get tasks accomplished. So I like to say that management is about tasks, leadership is about people. You see, there are some people, they've got a pretty impressive title. You look at their business card and you might say, wow, they have an impressive leadership position, but at any given moment, they might look back and see that no one is following. You see, it's not just about a title. Maybe it's about charisma, maybe it's about confidence, maybe it's about a number of things, many of which we're going to discuss tonight. But I'd like to suggest to you that if we're going to be the best leaders we can be, we got to make sure that we are passionate about the process and we're doing everything in our power to make a difference and to have a positive impact on our people's performance. So how are we going to do that? Take a look at element B, if you will. The leadership challenge is, in today's environment of narrow profit margins and intense competition, there's a need for us to maintain close controls for profitability. You see, we got to watch the margins. In management and leadership positions, we are oftentimes judged by our ability, yes, to make our sales numbers, but to also make them at acceptable margins. All right, now let's get back into this premise of how we're going to impact on our people, lead them well, manage them well in this entrepreneurial environment that we're creating. And that leadership challenge says we got to have some close controls for profitability. Look at the next sentence. We must be rigid and efficient in making money, but adaptable and resourceful in dealing with people and their dignity. A key consideration. At the bottom of the page, you'll see a couple of words down there. On the left is the word compliance. And isn't it true, whether we're talking about leaders, whether we're talking about managers, don't we want to get compliance from our people? Don't we want them to do that which we think they need to do to be their best? We want their compliance, don't we? But you see, if we demand compliance and we impose our position power and we say things like, I'm the boss and you'll do it my way, all of a sudden we get resentful compliance if we get compliance at all, don't we? But on the other hand, I would submit, ladies and gentlemen, that the most skilled leaders out there today are the individuals who not only get compliance, but they also get the commitment of their people. Because if we get compliance and commitment, then all of a sudden we have a going machine in this business enterprise that we're leading. But we got to try to get both. Turn in your action guide, if you will, to the next page. And let's talk about leadership theory. What are our leadership styles? Well, the first one I want to talk about is what's known as the autocratic style. That's Theory X leadership. Some of you may remember the works of Dr. Douglas McGregor many years ago. He put together the studies initially on Theory X versus Theory Y. Now, Theory X is the autocratic style of leadership, and it's basically a hardline belief that people are basically unmotivated, they're uninformed, and the only way you're going to get anything out of anybody is you got to manage them and lead them with an iron hand and a steel fist. Have you ever seen some managers like that? The stereotype is the Marine drill sergeant on a bad day who just came back from having a root canal done. You know some people who communicate like that? For those people in management, in leadership positions who communicate via Theory X strategies, they never heard, I guess, that this peaked in effectiveness at about the turn, not of this, but of the last century, when labor unions were so prominent back in the 1890s, early 1900s. And if you know anybody who manages and leads people like that today, why don't you tell them they're a little over a century behind? It doesn't work. They do not have the commitment of their people. They might get some resentful compliance from time to time, but they don't generally have the commitment of their people. They're going to generally have high turnover and poor morale, which sucks the profit out of a company quicker than anything else going. So, we got another alternative here. Dr. McGregor also talked about Theory Y. It was known as the participative style of management. Hey, give people an opportunity to be heard. Let's let them participate in some of the decisions. Let's gain some consensus. This got really hot and popular in the 1980s, early 1990s. And you know what? It really does work well. I see this in companies all the time. There's a respect for the dignity and the individuality of every team member through this participative style. That's a strong consideration. Now, another thing to consider, we all heard a number of years ago about Theory Z. It's the Japanese style of management. If you haven't read the book Theory Z, The Japanese Style of Management by Dr. William Uchi, I suggest you read it. I do not recommend that in our society we totally emulate what they're doing, but I do recommend that we try to get all the ideas we can from all the sources we can, and there's some good ideas in that book. I want to submit to you what I call Theory C. Theory C is the customer-focused style of leadership. Some people say, well, Don, wait a minute. I thought leadership was an issue between the leader and the team member. You know, it traditionally has been, hasn't it? I look at it like this. If we do a really great job of leading and managing our people and creating the kind of organization that honors the customer, you know, Peter Drucker said it well, the purpose of a business is to attract and retain customers. If we do a good job of attracting and a good job of retaining them, our profits are going to soar. But we've got to have the kind of leadership style that makes everybody in our organization know that that is indeed our highest priority. To make sure that we're figuring out ways to serve customers and to keep them coming back. Because if we do that, just about everything else falls into place pretty darn well organizationally. So I believe that we need to be customer focused, and we need to say some things like, leaders, it's not about you. Team members, it's not about you. It's about the customer. And what they think and where they're coming from and what their expectations are and what they want and what they're going to need as the future unfolds. Because it's with that degree of focus that all of a sudden we get energized, not about me, not about not about our organization. We get energized about the customers, who are ultimately all of our bosses anyway. So, How do we achieve that? Take a look in your notes. Let me give you some quotes to consider under point D. Number one, Ken Blanchard, very good friend. We're co-authoring a book right now, has a great idea. He says the most skilled and productive leaders in today's world are those who keep their people happy and productive. This results in our people keeping our customers satisfied. Now, friends, that's as simple as anything you're going to hear tonight, but it might also be as profound as anything we might discuss tonight. We keep our people happy and productive, they're going to keep our customers satisfied. Pretty good stuff. Now, think about point number 2. How many of you remember the name John Wooden? Who was John Wooden? Anybody? Yes, sir. UCLA basketball coach, like, was it 10 national championships? His track record was unbelievable. John Wooden wrote a book entitled They Call Me Coach. It's a wonderful book. My favorite line in the book is the quote I've got here on number 2. John Wooden said, when coaching, I preferred playing against an A team with a B coach than playing against a B team with an A coach. Wow. Does that not say that leadership makes the difference? It truly does. J. Beecroft had a wonderful quote. He said, remember that your people will respect not only that which you expect, but that which you inspect. And he's not recommending micromanagement, but he is making a point that we need to monitor performance standards. Now, let's go into what Theory C leadership style is about. I'd like to give you some of the components that I think collectively will make for a very powerful means of leading and managing people. Number 1 is communicate as the highest of priorities, the importance of all team members, making and keeping customers happy. Now, if that's our highest priority, that in and of itself is going to provide a payoff for us. Number 2, walk around, interact. Be available.